Alright, let's talk about Sweden. This place is seriously scenic, with huge mountains, coastlines that sparkle, and enough forests to make a beaver say, "Whoa, that's a lot of trees." It's in Northern Europe, and it's the 5th biggest country there. That means there's plenty of room for moose to wander around, and for IKEA to build a whole lot of furniture you gotta put together yourself. Sweden's location has always been a big deal. It's like the bridge between Scandinavia and the rest of Europe. This made it a popular spot for trading. And okay, maybe a little Viking raiding back in the day. But we'll get to that later. The country itself is pretty diverse. You've got rolling hills down south, massive forests and lakes up north, and of course those famous archipelagos. That's just a fancy word for a bunch of islands, perfect for kayaking, or hiding from your enemies. Just saying. Sweden's always had a lot of natural resources, timber, iron ore, and land you can actually grow stuff on. These were super important for building the country, and maybe even inspired their whole minimalist design thing. Who needs fancy decorations when you've got beautiful wood, right? Okay, time to talk about the Vikings. They're probably Sweden's most famous export. Well, besides ABBA, and those cute little horses with the red saddles. The Viking Age, which was roughly from the 700s to the 1000s, was a wild time. And yeah, there was some pillaging going on. But it wasn't all about raiding and stealing. Vikings were also expert traders and explorers. These guys were fearless sailors. They hopped in their long ships and went everywhere. East, west, you name it. They found new lands. And you know they picked up some cool souvenirs along the way. They set up trade routes all over Europe and Asia. They even made it to North America. Ever heard of Leif Erikson? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But the Vikings weren't just about conquering. They built settlements, farmed, fished, and even had their own laws. It wasn't all axes and helmets, you know. But let's be real, the axes and helmets were pretty awesome. The Viking Age definitely left its mark on Sweden. It shaped their culture, their language, and their reputation for being kinda tough. Don't worry, they've calmed down since then. Mostly. Once the Vikings settled down, for the most part, Sweden entered the medieval period. Picture castles, knights, and enough political drama to fill a TV show. This was when Sweden really started becoming a united kingdom. We're talking alliances, betrayals, and some seriously epic battles. It was like a real-life Game of Thrones, but with fewer dragons and hopefully less, family drama. One major event was the Kalmar Union in 1397. This brought Denmark, Norway, and Sweden together under one ruler. The idea was peace and prosperity, but things didn't exactly go according to plan. Sweden and Denmark spent the next 100 years or so fighting over who got to be in charge. It was basically a really long, messy divorce, with swords and cannons. Finally, in 1523, Sweden broke free from the Kalmar Union, led by Gustav Vasa. He became the first king of the Vasa dynasty. And, yeah, that's the same Vasa as the ship that sank on its very first voyage. Some families just have the worst luck. Okay, get ready for this. Sweden's Grand Tour and Empire almost, where the sun never set. The 1600s were Sweden's glory days. They had a new dynasty, a powerful army, and a bit of an ego boost. They decided it was time to expand their territory. Just a little. Okay, maybe a lot. This time period, known as the Swedish Empire, saw Sweden conquering tons of land around the Baltic Sea. They controlled Finland, Estonia, and even parts of Germany and Russia. They were the cool kids everyone wanted to hang out with. Or at least no one wanted to make them mad. Swedish kings like Gustavus Adolphus and Charles XII led their armies to victory in a bunch of wars. They were famous for being amazing military leaders, and for their hair. Seriously, have you seen the wigs these guys wore? Talk about epic hairspray, but good times don't last forever. Sweden's empire started falling apart in the 1700s. Their neighbors were putting up a fight, and they might have bitten off more than they could chew. It's hard to run an empire when you're also busy perfecting your wig game. Time for a change. From steam engines to Spotify, Sweden enters the modern age. The 1800s were a time of big changes for Sweden. The empire days were over, and the Industrial Revolution was in full swing. Sweden, always up for trying new things, embraced the change. They built factories, came up with new technologies, and started listening to ABBA. Well, not quite yet. This period saw a lot of social and political progress. Sweden abolished slavery in 1847, gave all men the right to vote in 1909, and started developing the social welfare system they're known for today. They were becoming a modern, forward-thinking nation. Sweden stayed neutral in World War I and World War II. This meant they could focus on rebuilding and improving their own country. They invested a lot in education, healthcare, and social security. They were building a society where everyone had a chance to succeed, and they were doing it in style. Swedish design became famous worldwide for being simple, practical, and undeniably cool. Let's talk about the Swedish model socialism, with great coffee. After World War II, Sweden became the poster child for social democracy. They combined a capitalist economy with a strong safety net for everyone. This Swedish model was all about equality, taking care of each other and making sure everyone had a good quality of life. Think free healthcare, free education, and lots of time off for new parents. And did I mention the coffee? Sweden is serious about their coffee. This model wasn't perfect, of course. High taxes were needed to pay for all the social programs, and some people thought it discouraged innovation and starting businesses. But overall, the Swedish model was a success story. Sweden became one of the richest and happiest countries in the world. Not bad for a country that used to be known for raiding and pillaging. So, what's Sweden like today? Well, they're global leaders in a lot of ways. They're known for their cutting-edge tech companies like Spotify, Skype, and Ericsson. They're all about sustainability and protecting the environment, and they're a strong voice for peace and human rights around the world. Sweden is a country that embraces its past while always looking ahead. They're proud of their Viking heritage, their empire days, and their modern progressive society. They're a country of contrasts, tough and compassionate, traditional and innovative, and always stylish. It's no wonder that people all over are fascinated by this small country with a big heart and a serious love for Lingonberry jam.